Welcome everyone to this another amazing Carlos Duran live production. How Water is Killing You. Starting it out with Waterfalls by TLC. We're here with Maji Dhara, an empress, a goddess, and an extraordinary expert on water health. Super happy to have you here with us. Super lucky to have Maji here with us. Welcome everyone. If you want to type in real quick in the chat where you're logging in from, where you're at, we would love to see you. Love to know where you're coming in from. Let us know real quick. I see Nancy Jackson out there. Claudia, thank you for joining. Ryan, Ashley, much appreciated. We got Luis Javier, Miriam, Trudy, Agustin Cordero himself in the room. Much appreciate everyone being here. Really grateful to have you. Super happy to have everyone here. If you could just let us know real quick where can you see us? Can everybody see us? Can everybody hear us? Let us know real quick. If you can see me on Facebook, if the video is rolling. We got Jane from Santa Cruz, California. We got Ohio, USA, Tennessee. Lola out in Costa Rica. Another neighbor of Maji's out there. Very happy to have you with us, Lola. Thank you so much. Let's get a quick sound check, a quick video check. I know that people in Zoom can see me. What about our brothers and sisters on Facebook? Can you all see me? Can you all hear me? Are we good to go? We're going to get started. We're going to pin Maji up so that she's the one that we're looking at. All right, I'm going to pin her right live. Maji, how you doing today?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Very good. Super happy to hear you. Super happy to have you with us.
Yes.
Just want to make sure. See if we can. Just want to make sure that our friends over on Facebook, our brothers and sisters out there, Facebook, are you with us? Can you see us? Can you hear us? Let's see. I'm a little concerned about Facebook right now. I think we have a little bit of a delay. Yeah, we still got Portland. All right, we're good. We're good. Ashley says we're good. Thank you very much. All right, let's get into the woman, the queen, the goddess, the legend, Maji herself. Maji, so we're here to talk about water. Water's
Yes,
changed a
definitely.
lot since, let's say, over the last 100 years. Been a lot of drastic changes in the water that we drink and the water that we use to cook. But let's first start with something. Let's lay a baseline down, Maji. Why should anyone listen to you when it comes to water?
Yeah, so I've really dedicated, honestly, my life to studying water. In the past several years, just have really dove in, and the consciousness of water was calling me for a long time, and really calling me to study it on both a consciousness level and spiritual level, but then also experiencing myself many health issues that were related to years and years of poor toxic drinking water. And for so many years, for as long as I can remember, I never felt fully hydrated, and this was something that was always a problem for me, always drinking so much water, never feeling hydrated. And I was always looking for years of like different filters, different products that I could put in the water to remineralize, or there's too much minerals, or there's not enough, or all these things, really researching deeply. And then I started my business, my platform, all centered around water. I also work with women, and so water and the womb are very connected, and the two works really go together. But I really dedicated my life to, and my work in this world, to helping others to understand the consciousness of water, and understand how water is the root of all things. It is the source of all life. and how we can start to purify that. When we return to that origin, return to the essence of life that is water, we're really able to heal all things. And so, yeah, I kind of became an advocate for healing good water and help other people to identify the issues with the water that they're drinking and find the solutions that they need in order to really nourish themselves from the inside out on a cellular level with healing pure water as it's meant to be from nature, not what it has become.
Wow, Maji, thank you so much for that. Personally, I've known Maji for years now, and everything I can testify, everything she said is absolutely true. I remember one time Maji came up to me in the middle of ceremony and she was like, Carlos, we have to take care of the water. And I was like, I know. She's like, no, we have to take care of the water. And so Maji's always been one of my go-to people. That's what
that was actually like the
go-to people when it comes to. So what happens is in my life, I believe in having what I call a super council. And there's key people in my life that I go to for key areas of advice. And when it comes to water, Maji is definitely my number one go-to person. Maji, right now, we all have ideas. Oh, we know there's pollution and there's this kind of pollution, there's air pollution, there's water pollution. But in your expertise, what are let's say the two leading causes of pollution that is contaminating our water today?
Plastic and chemicals. Yeah, plastic and chemicals. I mean, the oceans are filled with plastic. And chemicals from everything are leaching into the environment constantly, the water included, the air included. But as far as the water goes, plastic seems to be the number one on many different levels. Issues with the environment is the plastic consumption and the plastic waste, therefore, because of the plastic consumption.
So what in your opinion, what can we do to reduce plastic or chemical waste? Let's just say on a practical level, like in my home or with my kids. What are things that I can do? What are things that you do to reduce plastic and chemical waste in the world?
Number one, don't buy plastic. Everything that you put your money into, you're voting for. You're creating more of it. You're feeding that. And so I'm not saying that everyone has to be perfect. I'm definitely not perfect. I do still, on some level, sometimes have to purchase things in plastic. But when given the choice, make the choice for the environment, make the choice for the earth, make the educated decision, because this is the place that's going to hold our children, our grandchildren, and we want that place to be clean. And so we can make these choices and decide not to support the companies that are packaging things in ridiculous amounts of plastic, and instead start to support those places that are focused on the environment, support people that are creating zero waste stores. And sometimes it's a really beautiful practice. Maybe there's something that you really, really want, but it's packaged in plastic. And so you have an opportunity to say no to that. And that's a really disciplined practice. Also just teaching, you asked specifically about with the kids, teaching our children what is waste. My kids know, like when we go to the beach, how to pick up plastic and all the terrible stuff you find on the beach. And so educating them from a very young age, like my son knows plastic is not, we don't want things in plastic, and same with like chemically food. Like if we go to junk food, if we see junk food in a store, I'm able to explain to him, like, that's not healthy. That's not going to make our bodies feel good. That's not real food. So yeah, the number one thing you can do is choose not to buy plastic.
So when I choose not to buy plastic, maybe I have an idea of the answer, but I want to hear it from you. I mean, that's why you're here. You're the expert. When I don't participate in chemical waste, that's like a runoff from junk food, it has a byproduct of chemicals that are disposed of in a way that their half-life is, half a billion years, to be honest. So, but when I, as an individual, you as an individual, we as a collective reduce our plastic consumption or reduce, like you said, I like the way you said it so much, voting with our dollars from abstaining from junk food, how does that directly impact our water? What difference is that making?
That's going to reduce the amount of plastic that ends up in the oceans, that ends up in landfills. And yeah, also it's going to directly impact our health. The less you consume plastic, the better it is for you as well, because you don't want things that are packaged in plastic, actually. It's not good for our health.
Well, but like, so let's say I live in the city, right? So I live in the city and, there's a water, I pay my taxes that, if I live in the city, I pay my city taxes, whatever, my water taxes, and there's a water treatment plant, right? So, I mean, that water is healthy, right? Because I'm paying and it's going through a treatment process. And so all those plastic and chemicals, they're not present in that tap water or that shower water or the water that I'm using to clean my food, right?
You would think so, but unfortunately, it's not the case. Yeah, that's kind of like the biggest myth out there, is that this treated water that we're consuming, or the bottled water that's in these beautiful bottles that say alkaline water and are the more expensive ones. We think it's coming from a great source, still packaged in plastic, all the treatment plants. No, I mean, the reality is that water is not safe to drink. And that's the biggest thing that people are misled about, is thinking that the city, is taking care of their water source and treating it with the necessary things that need to be present in order to make it safe for drinking. When the reality is water has been contaminated by a number of other things. There's many other things we could do other than add chemicals. The chemicals, I mean, they're present in everything. So we kind of already know there's this push towards putting all of these additives in everything, and it's harming our health. And so when you take water, which we are made mostly of water, and you start to put chemical contaminated water into our bodies, obviously it's going to have a health repercussion. And that's really the saddest thing, is that a lot of people think that they're drinking good water, and they're not. They're drinking contaminated. If it's packaged in plastic, it's full of microplastics, as well as everything else that they add there. In tap water, one of the biggest things is chlorine, chloramine, and fluoride. And those are proven. I mean, it's just a matter of knowing these facts and starting to do your research to understand that no, the city's not taking care of your health by treating the water. They're adding a bunch of stuff that you really don't need in your body.
Well, that's been an ongoing topic over the last few years that I've seen. Talk to us a little bit about fluoride in your research and your expertise. What is fluoride, and what are the benefits or the dangers of it to the human body?
Mm-hmm. Well, fluoride, they say that is added to a lot of toothpaste. It's good for the teeth. It helps preserve dental health. I remember as a kid getting treatments with fluoride in my mouth. They openly talked about it, and it's added to the drinking water for those reasons. Fluoride also calcifies the pineal gland, which is, the third eye, essentially, the place of consciousness. And so I really encourage people to dig deep into these topics and discern for yourself what makes sense and what doesn't. I can share a lot of information here, but if there's one thing that I can inspire you to do, is start to research these things. Why is fluoride added to the water? What were the reasons, and what do we know about it now? So why is it still added, is the question. Same thing with chlorine. These originally was added to the water to, I believe it was to take care of dysentery. People were getting a lot of dysentery way back. And since then, there's other technologies that can take care of the same things that chlorine and chloramine do. However, they're still added to the water sources. And those things have a direct impact, especially on respiratory health. But they cause a number of, they always say that the drinking water, it's in non-toxic doses, right? Like the fluoride, the chlorine, the chloramine, all the other things you wouldn't believe, like even arsenic is found in drinking water in low doses, right? But the reality is that no matter the dose, it's still going to affect our health over time. We can think that, I mean, if you're drinking a low dose of something every single day, obviously it's going to affect your health. So there's a lot of reasons why
let me interject right there, because that's a great story. So I had this amazing teacher. His name was Gary Halbert, and he would present he would present in a similar way to the way you're speaking right now. And he would say, well, let me ask you something. If you would go into a restaurant and the only thing on the menu was cancer, and they had a plate full of cancer, a bowl full of cancer, and a cup full of cancer, and you could even request a small serving of a spoonful of cancer, what serving do you choose? You know, and he would just tell you the answer is obvious. None of those servings. You get up and walk out of that restaurant. Mm-hmm. So the question is, you know, if we consciously would not ingest something as toxic as cancer directly into our bodies, why do we choose to be ignorant about, as Maji's saying, the microdosing of carcinogenic agents, of things that cause cancer and things far worse? We ingest them at low levels over a long period of time, and then wonder why we have renal failure or kidney failure, organ failure, why we have hypertension, why our thyroid isn't working, why. Let's talk about brain fog a little bit, Maji. In your experience, is there a correlation between feeling sluggish and brain fog and the water that we're drinking?
1000%. I actually, you know, I have a history of, I was very sick with autoimmune and inflammatory diseases and very mysterious things too, right? Like things that the doctors could never quite figure out. They pinpointed rheumatoid arthritis, okay, and then a number of other weird autoimmune conditions. And I struggled with not only fatigue and sluggishness, but brain fog major for so many years. I'll share my personal testimonial because that's like what I can really speak from is my experience and having struggled with the health issues for so many years. And in the year leading up to before I started drinking good water, before I started to completely revamp the way I consumed water and understanding where it came from, and found the technologies that resonated and that made sense, and found that healing water, I was struggling with all kinds of issues, really weird stuff too, like swollen lymph nodes that were really painful, but like chronic, like they would just pop up out of nowhere, and I could not figure, like eating super clean, drinking lots of water, drinking, well water here from the land, which is good. I mean, I live in a clean place. There's a little bit too much sediment in the water here sometimes, but so my personal experience of having changed the water that I drink, my mental clarity is so much sharper. I struggled, and I still have mom brain, let's be real, like 2 kids, breastfeeding pregnant for like 5 years straight. It happens. But the difference, even given those factors of how much my body has been through in the past 5 years since becoming a mother, is radical. As an 18-year-old college student, 18, 19, 20-year-old college student, I was not able to keep up physically with the demands of life. Like I did not have the stamina and the ability. Yeah, I was sharp with my studies and everything, but fighting that mental fog for so long was so hard. When I think back to the water that I was drinking then, I mean, yeah, I lived in New Orleans. That water's not so great.
So let's go back a second. I want to encourage people, since we have Maji here with us, if you have any questions, Claudia's already put in a few questions. If you're with us on Facebook, go ahead and type in questions in the comments section. I'm looking at them right now. If you're here with us right now on Zoom, go ahead and just pull up your little chat button. It's a little bubble right at the bottom, and type in your questions. So we've got a few questions, Maji. One question is, does bottled water have any minerals in it?
Depends what bottled water you're talking about. I mean, there's so many different, does it have the mineral content in the right proportions that we need for health? I can say across the board, definitely not. None of the bottled water that you can find is actually healthy, unfortunately. So sometimes they'll have minerals added to it, if it's like been through reverse osmosis or distilled water, because that water is literally stripped of all minerals. So it's very depleting for the body. So if, say you're drinking reverse osmosis water, but yeah, it depends. It really depends on the bottled water that you're talking about.
Wait.
In general,
Go
the mineral
back to a
content
second.
is
Go
not
back.
accurate.
Wait. Stop for a second. What water is depleting for the body? Because this is what we're talking about. This is the water that's
Yeah.
killing us, right? I mean, what
Well,
exactly? What's that?
so the water that we're talking about, if we're talking about tap water and bottled water, there's also the options of like when you go to Whole Foods and you can fill up on alkaline water, distilled water, or reverse osmosis. People usually think that reverse osmosis and distilled water is like the cleanest you can get. The reality is it's been stripped of everything. So it's not nourishing the body, it's depleting, it's taking from the body, because it doesn't have that mineral content. And so, sorry. And so then if we're talking about bottled water, that's toxic and depleting and stripping the body of things in a totally different way too, because there's all the stuff that's added to it, all the different chemicals that are added to it. And that itself is putting stress actually on the body. So we're drinking water, trying to get hydrated, drinking. And you're actually stressing your body out more and having to combat more of this oxidative stress that we're experiencing as a society on a whole in epic proportions. And then if we're talking about tap water, it's similar. The only thing about the plastic bottled water is that there is the very specific issue of microplastics. I mean, look at how long a bottle of water sits on the shelf. How in the world are we to think that there aren't microplastics in that water? I mean, it's made to last years and years and years, this bottled water. That also means that the chemicals are leaching into the water for however long it's there. So the microplastic issue is very specific with the bottled water, and it's a serious issue. And then with the tap water, depending on where you live, there are different things added to the water. And we'll get to that a little bit later about what you can do about that. But depending on where you live, there's different things added to the water, and that's going to impact, obviously, how stressful that water is for your body and how it's depleting you and what it's doing. So it depends on the different levels of all the different chemicals.
All right, but what about if I'm paying for that nice fancy glass bottled water? You know, in those nice glass bottles that cost $15 for two ounces of water. What's that
Yeah.
like? Am I getting my money's worth?
I think you're talking about like the glacial spring water, like the stuff that they say comes from the springs and stuff.
Well, there's like Vos, and there's really fancy glass bottles, right? And there's water in it. It's like $15 for, I don't know, like 300 ml or something like that.
Yeah. So a lot of those, and I've had people ask me about like Mountain Valley spring water and all this stuff too. Again, encourage you to look really, really deep into the sources of those things, because if you track the source, I mean, if you're buying a glass bottle of water and it says spring water, that's beautiful. It's a great idea, but I can guarantee you that no one went to the spring and took that glass bottle of water and filled it up directly from the spring. If they did, that would be super awesome. However, instead of that, yeah, sure, it can be spring water. It's from a spring, but then they have to put it in trucks to transport it. And the inside of those trucks, well, one, that's going to carry a whole other component because the water's being exposed to different materials, right? But the inside of those, they're chlorinated and fluoridated. So sure, spring water might not have anything else necessarily added to it, or this glass bottled water, and people are more likely to buy, well, not everyone, but people who are conscious of water are more likely to buy that. The same way they might think, oh, alkaline water, that's better for me. Alkaline water is another story. But basically, all of those waters that are coming in the glass bottles, they were not filled up directly at the spring. And so in the transport process, there's other things that are added to it.
All right. So what about, we got a question here regarding trace minerals. What about adding trace minerals into my water? Or let me expand on that a little bit, adding supplements into my water.
Yeah, I used to add the trace minerals into my water actually. And I didn't really know. Well, I added the trace minerals because I thought my body needed more minerals. Where I live, like I said, the mineral content is pretty good. It's yeah, you need to have a water you need to know what water you're drinking if you're adding the trace minerals, right? Like there's no reason to add minerals if your water is already mineralized properly. If you're drinking something like reverse osmosis or distilled water, it's a totally different story. Then yeah, you do need to add minerals. But yeah, that would kind of depend on the water that you're drinking and your purposes behind adding minerals. Is it for health purposes? Were you advised by a doctor? Have you gotten a water quality report to find out what the mineral content is already? All of those factors would influence. And then adding supplements to your water. What do you mean exactly? Like vitamins, tinctures, superfoods, stuff like this?
Well, one right there, I want to let everyone watching this know that in a little bit, Maggie's going to get not just into solutions, but she's got a way that you can get a free quality water report, and she's got a way that you can get a water optimization consultation. So we're going to talk about that in just a few more minutes. I was talking about like there's these packets I've seen. I mean, I don't use them, but I've seen them on the shelf. You know, add this to your water and get vitamin D, vitamin C, and you know, like it's supposed to be, you know, to make your water more. I don't want to use the word healthy, but a delivery agent for supplements and things like that.
So,
but obviously, I mean, it just seems like, go ahead.
The thing here about that is you have to look at, again, the source. So if the water itself is contaminated and full of, say, microplastics and fluorine and fluoride and chloramine and maybe some benzene and arsenic and stuff mixed in there, to name a few of the things, you'd be shocked when you see what's in your water, actually. So if you're adding a superfood to that, you have to really look at the quality of that water. That water is dead water. It's not living water. So yeah, there might be a benefit. I'm pretty skeptical of things like, I look for the food sources of things. Look for the whole food source of things. If you need more vitamin D, one, you know, spend a adequate time in the sun to get vitamin D, and then see what other things you can do to boost your absorption of vitamin D, because you might be spending time in the sun, but maybe you're not eating the right things to absorb vitamin D. So all of those are important. But yeah, adding superfoods to water, it could help a bit, but if you're not addressing the root problem, this is the thing, and I'm glad that someone brought this up, actually, because people spend so much on superfoods, organic food, all of the nicest health supplements, and they still drink shit water. To put it bluntly, they still drink dead water. And we are made of water. And so if you're not changing your water, you're not like the number one thing you can do if you have health problems or you have health concerns, or if you are a human on this planet and you want to drink what water is meant to be, which is like a sacred element of life, then look at your water source. That's the number one superfood on the planet, is water. It all starts there. And so you can add all of the things, and you can buy all the superfoods, and you can eat all the organic foods, and you can do all the exercise and get all the treatments and infusions and all that. If you're still fueling your cells with terrible water, you're still going to have the repercussions of that. You might get better, it might improve, of course. But if you really want to radicalize your health, it's water.
No, I get you. Like, to put it like in guy terms, you know, you could have the dopest, flyest car with the most solid wheels, killer rims, a super built out engine, and you know you're putting sugar in your gas tank. You know, it's not going to go anywhere. No matter how great the specs are, the fuel, the primary fuel, is fucked up. It's just not working out. The sugar in the tank, and you got to change that out. So that brings me to this next question. This is a question. So here's what he's saying. He's saying, my understanding is pure water is distilled water. Pure water is only from rain, mist, fog. Water is not the best source medium for our body to receive minerals, well as our own living waters, for example, urine. What are your thoughts and experience with this?
With rainwater and all of these? Well, distilled water, like I said, it is a myth that it's healthy to consume. It's not. I mean, there might be purposes in which you are advised to consume distilled water, but it is, let's say it's pure in the sense that it's stripped of everything, right? So then if we're talking about, this is a great question because someone brought this up to me not too long ago too, and I did some research into it. So if we're talking about, yes, I do agree that there are, every body is different. Everyone absorbs and needs different things, right, in terms of minerals. And so you really have to investigate what diet and what superfoods and what things you want to put in your body to properly fuel and get the minerals and the vitamins that you are needing. So that's one. Yeah, it's not like water is not your source of all vitamins and minerals. That's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it is, like Carlos, you were explaining, it is the fuel for everything else. And so if you want all of your systems to work properly, if you want all of the pH levels to be at the right level that they're meant to, if you want your absorption and your cellular hydration to be optimal, you have to look at the water first. As far as goes with rainwater and yeah, the water that comes from the environment, yeah, ideally rainwater would be pure and safe, right? Except for the fact that there's so much pollution. And so it's actually one of the most polluted sources of water because it's coming from there where everything has been absorbed. Yeah, does that answer that question?
I think it does. And, you know, and our brother here who made the comment before, he's basically, he's again saying what you're saying about do your own research. And when it comes to mineral in water or mineral in fluids, you know, I don't personally use urine therapy. I know people that do. They're all about it. It's awesome. In this hour, we don't have enough time to go into that, but, you know, I think it's something that we could do in the future is work out a urine therapy show. I think that's something that we'll do. But right
I've never
now,
done it, so I can't speak on it.
What I want to get back to, Maji, for a second, because I want to get into the solutions. We're getting a few questions about filters and about structured water, but I had a hanging question in my mind. There was a word compound that you introduced to me that I was not familiar with, which is oxidative stress. Did I say that right? Oxidative stress?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oxidative
So
stress.
I want to take the chronic health issues. So first, let's talk about that. What is oxidative stress? What is that?
So oxidative stress is essentially the influence on your cells that is causing cell degradation and cell death. It is that stress that creates essentially disease, because when we have too much oxidative stress, to put it simply, is when you'll see a lot of diseases surface and a lot of illnesses and just poor quality of health due to excess oxidative stress. And so we as a society and as a world right now are kind of built in a way where oxidative stress is inherent in our life. There are definitely ways you can reduce it for sure, like 1000%. But let's say like mainstream society, the oxidative stress is out of control because people are consuming super acidic foods and chemical foods and drinking chemical water. And, you know, even things you have to look at like energetically, like the things that people are consuming from a sensory standpoint, whether it be media, news, not good air that they're breathing in congested cities. All of these things cause
that's a great
oxidative
point.
stress.
I got something to say. Expert. I got something to say because water's got memory. All right. Yes. So check this out. Follow me on this. All right. What's up, Abby from Akron, Ohio? Check this out. All right. Look at what Maji's saying. Let's break this down for a second. All right. This has been a hot topic for me lately. There's two environments. All right. You have your internal environment and you have your external environment. Right. And so your internal environment will determine a lot of your external environment, and your external environment will influence your internal environment.
Yeah.
So we are, let's say, let's take the standard, I almost said believe the science. Hey, listen, let's just take the standard accepted scientific percentage of the human body is 80% water. Okay. Now we're going to get into a book that Maji's going to recommend that talks a lot about the structure of water. I saw a question there about structured water, so we're going to get into that in a second. But when you do your research, you realize that water has molecular structure. But it doesn't just have molecular structure, it has transmutable molecular structure, which means that the external environment in which the water finds itself will directly influence the molecular structure of that water. Am I right so far, expert?
Yes.
Yes, I am. I know. I researched this shit before I got here with Maji. I'm gonna be no fool. So here's the deal. Because you're mostly water, right? Check out what she just said. TV, programming, everything in your external environment has a direct impact on the memory of the molecular structure of the water that you're mostly made up of. So if you're constantly consuming violent TV or let's say just TV that's lethargic, TV that doesn't promote a prosperous life within yourself, TV or music or environments that constantly promote self-criticism or a comparison of what you don't have, a scarcity or lack to, oh, look at what they have, look at how amazing that is, and my life is just not like that. Or it's something that, maybe it's a video game and it's very exciting, but it's constantly bombarding your cellular receptors with these negative vibrations or these low-level frequencies. That shit is being programmed into the water, and basically, even though you're not thinking about it, that memory is trapped in the molecular structure of the water that is your body. So
Exactly.
when we're looking at water and we're looking at healthy living, it's really important to understand how are we impacting the water around us. And Maji, I have one more question. I'm going to let that question hang for a second because this is an awesome segue into structured water. Can you talk to us about structured water? What's that resource you've got for us, and take us down that rabbit hole a little bit?
Yeah. So the book that you're talking about, I will say one more, just to piggyback on that, one more thing that comes so strongly to mind. So something to consider and you can learn this from this book as well, but if you are in an environment where you are experiencing all those things that you just described, or say that the water of a certain city is going to be different depending on what the energy of that city is. So then we can also control, and this is something that we can practice too. If we're made of water, it is so important what we expose ourselves to. So that's like dynamics across the board. We have to look at the dynamics in our life across the board, not just what is outside of us, but what we can control to shift those dynamics so that our cellular memory is restored in a healthy way and our water bodies are clear and clean. So the book that you're talking about is called The Hidden Messages in Water by I don't know if I'm going to say this right, but Masaru Emoto. And this book shows we'll talk about actual restructured water, because believe someone's question is referring more to ionization and that process of restructuring water to help us consume healing water. But if you want to get a really clear look at what the crystal structures of water look like in different places, or say when different songs are playing, or say when different words are being said, you can go to this book and check it out. It's no coincidence that water prayer exists. And that's a huge part of my life as well, because the way we speak and the vibration that we use, we have this capacity to vibrate and to transmit that frequency through something as transmutable, like you said, as water. So that's like the whole idea there is not just water prayer for the sake of hoping for something different, but because we actually have the capacity through our frequency that we embody to influence the water. And so you can see that example in this book based on the different frequencies of different places and how that impacts the water structures of the crystals.
And I think you're right that the person's question was based on structured water units. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so that is the water that I drink is electrolyzed reduced water, Kangen water. It is Kangen itself, and it's originated in Japan and started in Japanese medical systems. So it is medical grade water. And what it is, it's restructured, ionized, alkalized, electrolyzed water. It goes through a process of electrolysis and essentially provides a concentrated or higher content of molecular hydrogen in the drinking water that you're getting. And you can, again, I do recommend searching. This is super interesting stuff about molecular hydrogen and why that is so beneficial to us. But essentially, restructured water, yes, I very much advocate for it. It is what I do and what I share. Because I know not only the science, but I know firsthand how different that water can be. And so we have to think about it in this way of rebalancing, because on Earth we have such an imbalance. And that really is, you can see that imbalance of consciousness in the water itself. And so the reason, and this is why I, made it my work to share this healing technology, is because technology itself has been used. If we're looking at chemicals and all the stuff that's causing pollution, that's causing contamination, that's causing, all the stuff to be added to the water, that itself has harmed the water sources. But we have the opportunity to use technology to bring that balance. You kind of have to use, I'm hesitant to use the word weapon, but yeah, it's kind of like you want to use what has been used for bad for good. And so that is exactly what these ionizers, these medical grade ionizers are, is using this technology to restore the purity of water. And not only that, but to compensate for the amount of toxicity and oxidative stress that we have been under by providing an excess, a large amount, a concentrated, potent amount of antioxidants and molecular hydrogen. And so that's allowing the body to experience cellular repair and true hydration. And one of my favorite examples, because I always like to bring it back to nature, because I'm a skeptic of technology in general, which is how I came to this conclusion of using technology, using healing technology, using it for good, learning how we can use it to rebalance all of the terrible stuff that technology has been used for. So if you look up the Hunza Valley in Pakistan, the people there have an average life expectancy of like 120 to 140 years or so. And of course, the secret is in the water. And the water there just happens to be high pH. Kangen water, the drinking water, is 9.5. So that is very healthy to drink. And also, because of where it's located, it is rich in molecular hydrogen. So basically what I'm saying is that it's mimicking that in what already exists in nature. And so we have to, we're rebalancing. So restructured water is, I would say, really the number one option if you want not only to, because you can purify your water, right? And you can get water quality reports, and you can get water filters, really good water filters. Because even with an ionizer like the Kangen machine, you might still need a pre-filter of some kind because of the ridiculous amount of contaminants that are in the water. So if you filter out the water, you're already taking the first step. Okay, you're consuming water that, thank God, has been liberated from all of these toxic things. But then if you take it, the next step would be to ionize it, would be to make this water healing water, essentially making the water medicine. Because, sorry, there's beetles flying everywhere. I'm in the jungle, for anyone who doesn't know that. So there's frogs and beetles all around me. So you're taking the next step. You're restructuring the water, is giving it life again. It's charged water. And that's, when we consume that, we are returning to the origin, because that is the essence of what water is meant to be. It's just been stripped of that by all of the things we've discussed.
I want to take it back for a second, because there's an amazing series of books that anyone who's been following me or a friend of mine for the last few years knows I'm always promoting these books. It's called The Ringing Cedars of Russia. And in it, Anastasia, the primary character of the books, she talks about exactly what Maji was referring to. The technology is here. I mean, it's here. You can't ignore it. That's like trying to, hide the sun by putting your finger over it. It's just not going to happen, right? So the idea is, let's take technology and reverse the application of it from a destructive application to a life force application. Let's take those things that at one time, like a bulldozer is a great example. It's one of the examples that they give in the Ringing Cedars of Russia. You can use a bulldozer for a lot of things. One of the things that you can use it for is to clear land that has been misused or destroyed, to prepare it for living, ecological living. You can prepare the land with a bulldozer to use it for planting. You can use your cell phone, to watch porn or to scroll on a social media platform and get your dopamine fix. Or you can use it to communicate with the world. I just want to give a little shout out. Christopher, mi hermano, my little brother from Dominican Republic, is here joining us. Christopher, Dios te bendiga, mi hermanito. Gracias por estar aquí con nosotros, mi brother. So that's my little brother out there from DR, my true blood brother. Dios te bendiga, papi. So how we use technology, like look what we're doing right now, right? We're in a platform. There's people from all over the world. There's people from Seoul, Korea. There's people from Europe. There's people from the States, Costa Rica. I'm over in Colombia, right? And so what Maji is saying is, there's technology, and then there's how we use the technology. So I would invite all of us to take the technology in our life and make a conscious decision to apply it to the highest purpose, to the greatest purpose possible, as opposed to just bashing it or not wanting to have it in our lives. I want to bring this to second, Maji, because when we talk about the free water quality report that you mentioned to me, I think it's really important that everybody watching this get that free water quality report. And it comes from a specific company. It's called ionfaucets.com.
Yeah.
And Maji, could you tell us a little bit? I mean, Maji's not related to this company. This is just a free resource. They happen to offer a free water quality report that Maji believes, and I agree with, that we should all have. And the Ion Faucets, that company, they offer water filters. Is this one of the filters that you would recommend to get?
Yeah, that's so when people get a Kangen machine, I sell Kangen machines. So when people get that, I always encourage them to, then the machine itself, the ionizer that I'm talking about, the Kangen machine, has a filter within it, and it filters out certain things, but it's primarily a medical grade ionizer, which is why you might need some kind of pre-filtration. So I rely on Ion Faucet to provide people with water quality reports. You'll give them your address, actually, and they'll be able to tell you exactly what's in your water.
And that report's absolutely free.
Yeah, you just email them or call them, and they'll be able to give you that information. And then from there, they can tell you what kind of filter you would actually need. Because that's the other thing, is that people buy all these filters, but they don't actually know what they need to filter out. And so there might be some beautiful filters on the market, but if it's not actually filtering out the stuff that you need to filter out, that you don't want to consume, it's kind of useless, right? Even though it doesn't matter how beautiful it is or how expensive it is. So you want to get that water quality report to know exactly what you need to filter out, and then to be prescribed, essentially. The way I see it is like, you get prescribed a filter to start healing your water.
And so you keep mentioning this Kangen machine. Kangen, how do you say that?
Kangen.
All right. So I happen to have one. That's the truth. I got it from Maji. That's the truth. And if you've ever heard about this machine, the first thing that we want to talk about is the big, fat, huge white elephant in the room. It's the price tag. Right, Maji, and let me tell you guys something. Oh, hold on, let me bring myself back on screen, because this shit's important. I am a bargain hunter. Okay, I will call Jeff Bezos up him fucking self and get a discount from Amazon. There is no discount for this machine. This is like,
you tried really hard. You tried really hard.
Oh my God, I called the company.
He was convinced that I was wrong.
No, I mean, I went all the way to like the top, and they're like, we just don't offer a discount. There is no discount. It's like trying to find an Apple product on sale, right? It's just, it's not going to happen. You probably have better luck at doing that. However, they do offer something else. And because price is such a big thing in our minds, right? Especially when we talk about a $5,000 price tag, but they offer something that's really, really, really unbelievably amazing. Maji, could you talk to us a little bit about the amazing, like, rest of your life payment plan with like almost no interest kind of thing? I mean, it's unbelievable. Talk to us about the longest payment plan that they have and the interest on it, so people really understand that this really is accessible. The price tag is not something, in other words, if you're paying for Netflix, if you're paying for Amazon Prime every month, and that's your budget, you can cancel that shit, pay for this, and still have money left over for something else. Talk to us about a little bit about that, Maji, because that's a really dope fact.
There's payment plans available. You'll put a certain amount of money down depending on the length of the term you want to. Minimum is around, like I said, it depends on the country, right? And also depends on your state and your taxes and all that. But baseline around, you can put down around 1,200 to 300, and you can pay as low as $180 per month. So the payment plans are super accessible. I will also say that they don't, like, I've never had an issue with someone that doesn't have good credit getting this payment plan. Like, they really do make it very accessible. So it's a great way to go. It's the way I went. I just happened to have the amount that I needed to put down, and then I financed it. I think it was over like 10 months. There's anywhere from 3-month financing to 24-month financing. I'm talking about the US, because numbers will be different for different countries. But just speaking about the US, it's really quite accessible. And like you're saying, once you break it down and you realize, say if you are spending you're spending money on water deliveries, start to break down those numbers, because this investment, a one-time investment, the machine itself with all the proper care is built to last 25 years. You're making a serious investment, and it's the top of the line technology. So,
and more importantly, you're making an investment in your life, right? You're making an investment in your home, because this is not something. So when we talk about, let's break this down for a second, because I want to get into the massive benefits, because we're almost done here. We almost have to go. And so here's the thing, all right? One, we use credit cards like it was freaking income, right? So if you're using your credit cards to finance, I don't know, a Dolce & Gabbana, some clothing, or a Louis V bag, or, those Louis V shoes with the red bottoms, or, you're paying that $600, $700 a month lease on that Jag or that Beamer or that Lexus that you don't need but want. Let's be real, because if you're leasing it, you're on a payment plan and never belongs to you, right? So there are things that you can do in your life to invest in yourself. All right. I believe in investing in my mentors. I believe in investing in my self-education. I believe investing in my spiritual path, and I believe investing in my health. So, because the greatest wealth that you can have is health for the mind, body, and soul. I'm 100 on that. And I encourage you to subscribe to that philosophy, because it's the way to find ultimate fulfillment in your life. And I'm big on ultimate fulfillment. It's the best thing you can have, is just have a fulfilling life. So when you look at your health and you look at your expenses, that should not be a measure. You should look at, what am I spending money on that's keeping me from investing in my health, right? Because the quality of life is what you're seeking. You want to live not the longest, but the best life possible. And the Kagan and the water that you drink, the water that you bring home is super important. When you look at, let's say you drink bottled water, okay? Or you're buying the big bottles that come into your house. You got to look at the expense that builds up over time, versus having a Kagan machine in your home where you can wash your food with clean medical grade water, wash your dishes with clean medical grade water, bathe your baby with this medical grade water, wash your face with this medical grade water, fill your jars. You can fill them up with medical grade water, your drinking water, your to-go water, your coffee, your smoothies, your juices, everything that you ingest, your soups, your sautés, everything that you ingest that requires water, that water is going to come from somewhere, and you're paying for it. Okay, and you're paying for it one of two ways. You're either paying for it out of pocket, right, by buying expensive bottled stuff, And then the second way that you're paying for it is with your health. Because if it comes from the tap, you're paying the city for it and it sucks. If it comes from a bottle, you're paying for it and it sucks. So when you get this Kagan machine and you bring it home, you're not just bringing home a machine for you. You're bringing home a machine for your family, for your life, and for the longevity of the quality of which you're going to live. So you got to think about the full spectrum aspect of how water plays into your life and what value do you place on your life and the water in it. So I highly recommend that you get this Kagan machine. Maji, tell us a little bit about the highest level, most optimal benefits of this Kagan.
Well, yeah, what was
Like,
just
what
coming
does
to
it do
mind
for you? What is important?
when you were describing all this, something else I wanted to add is that there is the drinking water, right? But then there's all the different other settings. So there's 7 different customizable settings on the machine itself, and it adjusts the pH based on which setting you choose. So, and anyone who wants to know more about this, just feel free to email me. I can send you a document that has the 100 uses of Kangen water, because each different pH, like you're describing, you know, washing your face, you would use the beauty water, the 6.0. You also want to water your plants with the 6.0. It also produces hypochloric, called hypochlorous acid, which is the 2.5 pH. And that itself is way more effective than bleach, but it's totally safe because it's water. So I use it to clean my toilets, to clean my bathroom, to clean grime. You can use it for your clothes. Guess what? You can also use it to whiten your teeth because it's safe to put in your mouth. So talk about radicalizing health. We also have to address what's in the home itself. And so people are super into non-toxic or low toxic lifestyles. What if you could literally make all of your cleaning products? I literally make all of my cleaning products. You can throw in some essential oils. I like the smell, you know, but the water itself, depending on the pH, has different purposes. And one more that I'll mention because I love it is that the 11.5 pH water has the capacity, also works a lot as laundry detergent, but has the capacity to remove oil-based pesticides off of your produce. So that right there, you know, if you're talking about really living a clean life, to have a machine that with water, just based on the pH of water, can remove these pesticides, and you'll be shocked at what comes off, even the organic produce, even the organic strawberries and stuff like this. So much pesticides and grime, they'll get off of that. So the feature, there's that holistic feature of the machine where it can really transform your life from the inside out, because you'll use it for everything in your home. It's all my kids drink. It's all I drink. I literally bring bottles and bottles of water whenever I go. So if I'm going to the beach, I bring like 3 bottles of water. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I'm always drinking it. And so the health benefits is touching more on the molecular hydrogen that I was talking about before, which is the potent antioxidants, the main feature of this water. Because what the molecular hydrogen, that antioxidant property, does is that it goes to your cells and it neutralizes free radicals. And free radicals are what is causing this. It's the components of, it's like this whole interplay in the cells that is influenced by oxidative stress. And so there's an excess of free radicals, and you want to neutralize that so that you can return to a baseline homeostasis and have optimal functioning of all of your systems. So it's repairing cells, it's repairing cellular damage, and it's also preventing cell death. And it's also, I hesitate to say like anti-aging, because I don't think there's anything wrong with aging, but it preserves youthfulness of the
It prolongs the quality of life. It prolongs
Yes.
the quality of your life. Look,
Yes.
when shit breaks down, it stops fucking working. Nobody wants to break down. You don't have to go to getting old, but when it breaks down, it breaks down. And if we can prolong the quality of our life through the water that we drink, that's a go-to tool. That's something we got to use. So here's the deal, because Maji's my people and you're my people, she's going to hook you up. All right. Maji typically charges $150 per consultation, but here's what she's going to do for you. Because if you're watching this right now live, or you're watching the replay, we want to bless you up. So Maji's got 3 things for you. All right. You're going to hit her up. I'm going to put the email right now. It's in the comments of both Zoom and Facebook. So what you do is you hit Maji up on that email. She's going to hook you up with a free 30-minute water optimization call. All right. You're going to get on the phone with her. She's not going to sell you. She's not going to pitch you. She's going to help you. She's going to help you figure out where you're at with water in your life and what are the things that you can do to optimize your relationship with water to get the most from it and prolong the quality of your life. She's also going to hook you up with that 100 uses of Kangen water. It's an absolutely free report. You can check it out. Best case scenario, you learn something. Worst case scenario, you figure out things that you're doing wrong and things that you could do better. And she's also going to hook you up with a real simple guide on how to make your own home cleaners. All right. So hit Maji up on the email, set up your phone call, and you're going to get those 2 free reports from her. All right. The 100 uses of Kangen water and how to create some of your own home cleaners that are free of pesticides and chemicals. And what's that thing called? Petroleum, which is a killer. All right. So I want to thank you all so much. Maji, thank you so much for being here with us. Are there any final words you want to share before I put in my last 2 cents?
Yeah, the last thing that I'll just share is that I encourage everyone to connect with water on a deeper level. So if this inspired you in any way whatsoever, don't hesitate to reach out. Like, water, if you can't tell, is literally my favorite thing to talk about. And I could go on hours and hours and hours and hours talking about water, because the consciousness of water has the capacity to heal all things. And so, yeah, connect with the water, and together, let's work on healing the waters of the earth and the waters within ourselves. And I'm really happy to support anyone and everyone who wants to take those steps and learn more and make changes in their lives.
So if you want to hook up with Maji, you want to get that free water optimization call, you want to get those free reports, just hit her up at the email. In case you can't see it in the comments for whatever reason, maybe you're driving, maybe you're listening to this on SoundCloud. It's magicwater@gmail.com. That's MAGICWATER@gmail.com. magicwater@gmail.com. I want to thank everybody that's here. I can only see a little bit of my screen right now, but I can see Stefania. I can see Nancy Jackson over there. I can see my manito Christopher. I can see Tracy, Sandra. Thank you so much for being here. Richard Choi, all the way from South Korea. Luis Javier, Miriam, Trudy. Guys, thank you so much for being here with us. Share this. It's going to be on the Facebook Live page. You can share it with anyone you think it's important for them to have. Reach out to Maji. You can set up the consultation for somebody else that you feel may need it in their life, or get the reports for them. And from my side, I just want to wish you the absolute most beautiful evening possible. I pray to our divine creator that every day be the absolute best day of your life. That the love of our divine mother flow upon you like a thunderous rain from the heavens, just soaking you with infinite light and love. May you always feel the force and the wisdom of our creator flowing to you and through you. May you always know, in the words of my beautiful teacher, that you have never been alone, that you will never be alone, that the creator is always with you, that nature is always with you. I'm your brother, Maji's your sister. All the trees, all the birds, they're your brothers and sisters. We're here on this rock, traveling at 65,000 miles per hour around the sun. It's just one planet, one race. May we all learn to live in unity, in love. May we all bathe, drink, and flourish in the cleanest waters of life. And may the waters in our life spring from the very gardens of our Creator. I wish you the best. The divine in me honors and sees the divine in you. May God bless you. May God protect you. And let's go out with a little bit of TLC. God bless you all. Thank you so much. I love you. Thank you, Maji.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you so much, everyone.